Hi, I'm C Duncan and you're watching NOISEreel on Bmusic. Hey, I'm Christopher Duncan, or C Duncan, as I'm known under my artist name. Reason I shortened my name is because, well, there isn't actually really a reason. We came up with three names: Chris Duncan, Christopher Duncan, and C Duncan, all very, very imaginative. And we went for the shortest, and that's why I'm called C Duncan. So my bedroom setup, it has changed a lot over the last couple of albums, but to begin with, it was literally in my bedroom. So I had my bed, and down at the bottom of the bed was a desk with basically an external sound card, microphone, and a pair of headphones and an old guitar, and that's what I did the first album on, and then using kind of onboard synths and stuff like that. Second album, I upgraded slightly by taking over another room in my flat, this tiny box bedroom in the back. Turned that into a little studio, and I got some monitors so I could actually hear what I was doing. So it's all very makeshift, and that worked for the second album. And then for this one, I've expanded now into my living room, so I now have the flat to myself. And so I've just basically jumped from room to room, and now I have an actual... Well, it's pretty much the same as it was, but in a bigger space and with a slightly better microphone. So how big was this space? Can you describe the space? So the first space was quite big because it's a big bedroom, but there wasn't much space for recordings. Of course, I had all my clothes, everything else was there. And then for the second album, I was in a space like kind of a metre and a half by, or maybe 2 meters by 3. It was really tiny. But I quite liked being kind of isolated and in that tiny little space. It was good. I love writing music. Although there used to be a much bigger divide between that and doing live. I used to playing live because I'm a composer essentially. That's what I studied. I'm quite reclusive. So like being out on stage all the time and stuff, I found that really hard to begin with. But now the both are kind of getting to meet. Kind of in enjoyment levels. I'm getting really used to being out and about all the time, and also my band's made up entirely of really good friends of mine, so I don't ever feel too far from home or anything, because all my friends from there are coming around with me. So it's really lovely. What I can't do without on tour, there's a few things. Belgian beer. I like Belgian beer a lot. I really like triple Carmelite. I always take a pair of scales with me on tour, because when we tour we eat like crazy, and I always go home about 2 stone heavier. So I need a pair of scales just so I can keep an eye on things as we go, and sleep. We need sleep on tour, and quite often we don't get enough, but when we can, we really go for it. It depends on where we are. I mean, a lot of cities in the UK remind us slightly, there's bits of Liverpool that remind us of home, bits of Brighton, sort of the kind of music-loving people and alternative people down here remind us of Glasgow. But I kind of miss my flat, and obviously my family and stuff. But Glasgow has an incredibly friendly vibe to it, which a lot of cities like Brighton and co have, but other places in the UK you sometimes think, I just wish I was around some other Glaswegians who were as dour yet friendly as me. Yeah, they're both quite different albums. The first one's it's very acoustic, although it's got lots of kind of funny little noises in it here and there. It's definitely more of a kind of guitar-driven album, I guess. And I was very much trying to find my sound at that point. So it's kind of a bit of a journey, from me recording the first track to how the final thing ended up. Whereas the second album is it's a much more personal album. I'd worked out in the first album what I wanted to sound like and what I wanted to do with my music. And so I had a real kind of, I guess it was a much stronger idea for the second album, so I could put more into the lyrics and kind of work it around that and around a certain new sound. So it's a much more coherent album. Whereas the first one's kind of a mishmash of me trying out different things, which is fun, but I know also the second one's much more electronic. It'll be slightly different, yeah. I've started it, so I started writing and recording for it, but again, it's always too hard to tell this early stage, it might turn into something completely different. But yeah, it's going all right. So I signed to FatCat Records. Basically, I only sent my music off to 2 labels. I was really certain whenever I started making music that I only wanted to sign up with a label that I really liked. And I wasn't going to do the whole send it off to 100 labels and hope that one gets back to you. So I chose the labels that I'd, spent a lot of time listening to artists. So one of them was One Little Indian, because I love Bjork, and the second one was, the first choice I should say was FatCat, because over the years I've had some of my favourite artists like Sigur Rós, Animal Collective, Vashti Bunyan. There's just hundreds of guys on that label that I just really, really liked, and I thought my music was so influenced by that maybe I'd be able to get onto the label as well, and to my surprise it worked. So I sent a demo down to them on SoundCloud. They gave me some feedback and they put it up on a demo site, and just kind of took it from there. And then I was invited down and they said, write us an album please. So it was just a really nice kind of natural thing that happened. And yeah, they're a great label for not giving me as an artist any boundaries whatsoever. They just basically say, Chris, you do whatever you want, and basically we'll release it. So it's really nice not having the pressure of having to make some sort of single or anything, so I can really be as creative as I want, and they fully support it and understand it, which is, I couldn't really ask for anything else. It was a very big deal for me to be nominated for the Mercury. Just really, really surreal, because it's one of these things that I've been following since I was very, very young when I started following it, and I... Sorry, I'm currently being filmed by these guys. Okay, let me start that again. It was very, very surreal, because I recorded the album in my bedroom, and then to kind of take it out to, I guess to the public to that extent, because the Mercury is a great exposure for artists, and it was a really big deal, but a lot of fun. Well, since being nominated, we've been touring a lot more, and we've been doing a lot more festivals, and all sorts of things. I get asked to collaborate more on things, just because my name's now out there. It's not just me up in Glasgow doing my own little thing. It's kind of, the word spreading a bit to people, which is great.